Thank you for joining the Change I Am Possible, which is India's first future tech meets sustainability podcast. Today, I'm delighted and honored to have with me Mr. Francis Paradis, who is a consul and director of Quebec Govt office in Mumbai. He has over 15 years of experience in Quebec public service. So thank you, Mr. Francis. Really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. You joined and soon after COVID happened. So I'm sure it must be like a very tough time because you joined in September 2019, March 2020. Not just India, but the entire world went into a lockdown. Why don't we start with what is the mandate or the agenda for you and Quebec government for here in India? And while you are at it, maybe you could also talk about what excites you about Mumbai and India.
First of all, thank you for the invitation to talk and exchange with you. The Quebec office in Mumbai represents the interests of Quebec throughout India. As you know, Quebec is located in the eastern Canada and its mother tongue is French. Quebecers represent a distinct and unique society which historically is an amalgamation of French, English, and American influence. We have access to the literature of the three great nations that surround us geographically. The priority of the Quebec government office are to promote trades, investments, and cooperation in India. We also participate in the deployment of Quebec culture across India and support the efforts of the international francophonie. Specifically, the office helps Quebec companies to find businesses partnerships in India and to create economic opportunities. At the same time, the office promotes certain economic sectors of Quebec to Indian companies in order to build long-term partnership. We want to promote export of Quebec expertise and products such as clean tech, fintech, medtech, aerospace, transport by train and bus and fly, and the development of the green energy sector, such as hydroelectricity, wind power, and solar energy. We are in the process of developing the entire electric battery sectors for vehicles, thanks to the natural resources in abundance in our territory. And what exciting me in Mumbai and India? It's a great question. Mumbai is a beautiful city with awesome energy. There are smiling and welcoming people there who are always ready to strike up a conversation with me and ask questions of curiosity. Like all of India, it is a fascinating country and one of the cradles of all humanity. It is an honor to have been chosen to represent Quebec in this wonderful country, filled with wealth, pride, and brilliance.
COVID has kind of completely upended, how we live, work, and play. I mean, just a couple of years back, business was as usual. Everybody had to go to their workspace. Education was in these brick and mortar schools, institutions. But now, because of COVID, I think almost everything has changed. There has been a disruption. I mean, disruption beyond what we could actually, take. But then the other side, if you see, there is so much opportunity. Opportunity which COVID has opened up. Geography, I think, is no longer as important as earlier. I mean, there's this quote which people say that geography has become history because of COVID. Because you could be sitting at any part of the world and create businesses. So there is so much opportunity for every nations to collaborate and do business. Quebec, Canada, I mean, it's a great nation, great province. India is doing so many cool things. How do we create a beneficial relationship? What is it, or which industry sector of India excites you the most, where you think could be leveraged to create a better business opportunity, trade opportunity for Quebec and India?
Thank you very much for the question. It's a great question. The service sectors, for me, is the fastest growing sector, especially the life sciences, the fintech and clean tech industry, logistics, and communication technology. There is also an increasing demand for renewable energy technologies, I think. India's challenges are numerous. especially with the development of large cities and the massive arrival of people from the regions to the large centers. Travel management is a concrete example of the complexity of megacity like Mumbai. Pollution issues and waste management are major priorities for public health and increases life expectancy. I think that the most promising sectors are the deployment of a large health sectors accessible to everyone in terms of equipment and drugs. The great crisis of the last spring in India, which the wave of the COVID has allowed leaders to learn a lot that this never happens again. And I remain convinced that the health sector is now stronger and better, ready to face this type of exceptional event. The renewable energy sector is a priority sector for India, as fossil fuels will come to an end in a few decades. India will become a pole of expertise in order to find green energy sources that can reduce greenhouse gases.
Almost all the countries in the world were completely disrupted and were not in the position to handle this virus. But right now, because of our investments in health tech, because of our investments in healthcare, in medtech, I think we are more prepared for even if maybe if there's a second coming of sorts, because right now I think there is a deeper lens on technology. Because of COVID, it's almost accelerated 10 years into the future because there's a huge lens of all technologies. We cannot now function the way we used to function earlier. Our education has gone online, our work has gone online. Even after almost 1.5 years of staying at home indoors, things are opening up, but we have understood the benefit of leveraging online education, online healthcare, online work. So the opportunity over there is humongous. Now there are a lot of these startups here in India. There is a lot of entrepreneurs. There are a lot of students who want to explore the opportunity of what Quebec presents. What are the opportunities for students, families, entrepreneurs, startups here in India who wish to migrate to Quebec?
The biggest problem in Quebec and in Canada in general is the workforce. We are sorely lacking in qualified personnel, especially in the field of engineering, for example. Every week, I met Quebec entrepreneurs who cannot grow and increase their productions due to lack of manpower. We recruit in all areas of engineering, aerospace, transports, civil engineering, mechanical, electrical, and all other sectors like video games, artificial intelligence, and elsewhere. We have a very advanced system startup in Montreal, recognized as being in the top 3 in the world. Mentoring, financing support and hub programs bring together to the greatest minds on the planet in one place. For example, there is a district in Montreal where you can find almost on the same streets, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, in addition to the greatest researchers in artificial intelligence. Imagine the coffee shops around these buildings where you can discuss your ideas with colleagues from the biggest companies in the world. Indians, workers, engineers, startups, entrepreneurs in Quebec can link with university sectors in Montreal. You can found about 8 universities, 13 technological colleges, 12 incubators for startups, 2 research centers on AI. They will also get the opportunity to interact with powerful actors who have chosen Quebec as base of regional operations. In life sciences, for example, there are 620 organizations, 150 research centers, and 80 international subsidiaries. As you may know, Indians are welcomed in Quebec for workers because we need workers and qualified workers like Indian can produce.
If you go to see, I mean, almost all of the global companies at this point in time, the big tech are headed by an Indian. So yes, we do export a lot of our engineers from India to these nations abroad. And you mentioned there's so much opportunity in Quebec. In fact, I should point out that Mila is headed by Joshua Bengio. Earlier was headed by Jeff Hinton, and it's one of the top institutes. So yes, there's a lot of opportunity. I hope there are more partnerships. I hope that there are more R&D exchanges, innovation exchanges, which could help both of the nations to prosper and thrive. Now, Quebec and Canada leads across the frontier tech spectrum, from artificial intelligence, AI to virtual reality. You guys are like really invested in emerging tech. Then Estonia is another nation that is reaping the benefits of digitization because they have grown tremendously because they've been leveraging the power of digitization. How important do you think is the adoption of emerging technologies or digitization for a nation or an organization or a company to sustain and thrive in a post-COVID world?
The development of new technologies, such as artificial intelligence, is important because it helps to attract foreign companies and investments that stimulate economy. Also, the digitalization process increases the productivity of the companies and organizations that use it. Nations that will develop with new technologies will have faster access to computing and greater computing and capacities, especially for the development of AI. A nation should acquire new technology and invest part of its GDP in research and development in order to become a leader of tomorrow and not wait for other nations to grow their businesses. The exponential development of new technologies require large investments, and we must start now for both sides of the world to follow the parade and guide it, and not suffer and let ourselves be dominated by others. For example, a few months ago, the government of Quebec announced the investment of $130 million to help businesses in their digital shift. This initiative had the purpose of increasing business productivity. Artificial intelligence, for example, can help with the fight against cancer. Ivado, a world leader in AI and based in Montreal, has linked all cancer metadata through AI to find correlative links between cancer development and the environment. A human being or even a team of researchers couldn't analyze all of the cancer research around the world and try to make connection, but the AI can do this. You can now do that through meta calculations. This is the kind of innovation that nations need to work on in order to improve the lives of its citizens. Another example, a Montreal startup is currently working on the intelligence of objects, integrated in travelers' suitcases. Imagine a future when your luggage will not travel with you, but in parallel, on another flight, another time, to be more efficiency at the airport and lighter as a traveler. This is this kind of example that make the AI are very important in our society, not only in Quebec, not only in India, but all around the world.
I would have thought about your briefcase that would be it would be intelligent and traveling along with you or separately, but would maybe reach when you reach a location. How cool is that? We are sensorizing objects and making it intelligent. The future looks super amazing. Would you like to talk about some investment or innovation co-investment between Quebec and India, or anything that you have planned ahead in the future?
One of the Quebec's major economic levers is the Caisse de dépôt et placement du Québec, which has invested 74 billions of rupees in the construction of 1 million housing units in Navi Mumbai. It's the kind of collaboration that I love and that make our two nations grow and leave something concrete. Opal RT and EDAP Hub Foundation in Varanasi signed an MOU last month to carry out research in the critical area of data analytics and predictive technology. The collaboration will help in finding solutions for the real-time problem of Indian power sector, for example, to develop the next generation technologies for e-mobility and smart grid infrastructures. Quebec is also investing in the construction of hospitals and the development of railways and highways with the Indian government partnerships. That's kind of example that you can understand the share and the development that Quebec and India can do together.
Lovely. I hope there is more effort from India also to create a stronger bilateral relationship. Canada, Quebec, I think, is leading when it comes to artificial intelligence and quantum computing. And though we have the engineers over here, we could use R&D exchange to create better technology and innovation, which it not just helps our respective nation or the Quebec province, but also globally. You mentioned that you're vested in climate technology, such as clean energy. So are there any partnerships between Quebec and the India government when it comes to clean energy space?
I will give you an example directly related to the clean tech expertise and the needs of India. For example, a small company from near Sherbrooke, is a small city 1 hour from Montreal, develops a new system you can use in the water to extract all the floating bottles, for example, or everything was floating on the river. Okay, and for now, this company signed a contract with the municipality near Agra to help to depollution the river with this technology. This kind of partnership helps both nations to develop their most natural environmental without pollutions. That kind of partnership is now ongoing. So I'm very proud to say that the Quebec nations will help to depollution with India, the Agra near the Taj Mahal. This is very important for us because, as you know, Taj Mahal is the symbol of the world humanity, and it's a magnificent mausoleum. So I think we are very proud of these facts that Quebec's company helped to depollution the river near the Taj Mahal.
What are your thoughts on COVID? Because there has been so much pros and cons of COVID. The pros has been that the environment has brightened up. I mean, suddenly we found newfound respect for the environment. We care for the environment, and we have realized that we cannot do without a cleaner, greener Earth. Because it's just one planet that we have. And then there's these emerging technologies which has been accelerated. So what do you think has been the pros and cons, when it comes to COVID, and what's the opportunity that the new world has for everyone?
Interesting. When I was in Quebec, I read on the newspaper that in Delhi, some young Indians saw the mountains of Himalaya for the first time in their life, because there is no pollution with the breakdown. This kind of example helped to increase the sensation of we have to do something. We have to do something against pollution in Delhi, for example. So that kind of example is very important to change the mindset of the young, for example. The technology sectors are the ones that increase the most. This sector has the highest growth rate and the most interesting development potential. This will likely help India to regain its high growth rate after the pandemic. COVID represents a turning point in the modern human history, comparable to what the events of September 11, 2001 impact on air travel. We do not yet know what change will be permanent. Take, for example, in Quebec City, restaurants have developed online ordering services, which was not really present before the COVID. However, the impact is that the dining rooms are now rather empty and people at home can eat restaurant food. Whether this trend will continue, it's too early to say. COVID has brought about profound change in our society, and the technology meets our new needs induced by COVID. It is an acceleration in the development of technology that we saw earlier. Some thinkers are already starting to talk about the positive impacts of COVID on our society, such as you mentioned, as working at home, returning to family values, developing warmer human relationships with mutual aid and compassion. I think it is still too early to say that we are going back. Rather, let's say that we have changed. We have made a major change of direction in the conduct of our lives, both individuals and collectives.
From 30, 22 of the most polluted cities happens to be in India, and Delhi happens to be the most highly polluted city in India. And we need to relook at how we have been consuming, or overconsumption is killing our world. There is no conserving. There is nothing which is sustainable. We are producing things. We are in awe of technology. We're creating technology and tools to create a better life. But every technology that we create is creating another problem. It's not a circular economy. So we need to look at things. And I think COVID has forced us to relook at all the wrongs and possibly give us the opportunity to correct the wrongs. You have been in India since 2019. What is your roadmap? What is it that from Quebec you want Indians or Mumbaikars to understand about Quebec and leverage an opportunity to create a relationship that's so strong that grows into a beautiful, create a better world? What is it that you want us to know about Quebec?
Before talking Quebec, I would just like to make a small detour. Quebec is smaller than India. As you know, is 8 million. We are 8 million people, and India is 1 billion and more. Are we so different? I don't think so. The problems are smaller than India. For example, we don't have any major city like Mumbai or Delhi or Hyderabad or the big cities in India. But we have the same problems, for example. We have problems of poverty. We have problems of criminality. We have problems of drugs. And we have problems of health sectors too. But I think we can share our recipe together, not our recipe to your, but in both ways. I think we have to learn from each other. Each nation have to develop their strength and share to the other one. What we found in the COVID situation, that Quebec, for example, is very dependent from Mexico and United States, for example, for the fruits and vegetables. Because in winter, there's no fruits, no vegetables in Quebec. Okay, it's too cold. And with the COVID, and we decide, for example, to use the extra energy available from hydroelectricity to build new garden inside, to growing fruits and vegetables, to be less dependent from the other countries, for example. This kind of way is changing our mindset. But now we have to think what we are strong to export. For example, we have a lot of lithium, cobalt, and nickels in the ground of Quebec's territory, can build batteries for electrical vehicles, for example. Why we cannot share our recipe with Indian, for example? In exchange, India can help us with the management of the big cities, for example, or the management of the crowd, of the management of the education system, for example. I think that's the way that we can exchange together with two nations our recipe to help each others, not only in a profit aspect, okay, but with the humanity aspect, that we have now together, we have one earth, we have only one earth, and we have to take care of them, of her. So I think that Quebec and India and Canada, Quebec, India, have to share everything and share, not only in the way of exportations and money and like something like that. No, as human, we have to take share of each other. The COVID situation has developed the sentiment of the share as human. We are human, all India, American, European, African, Russian, for example. We are the same human. We're not two races different. We all everything together in this fight against COVID. But after that, I think we have learned that we have to help, for example, the poverty nations, for example. For example, if the rich nations have 3 vaccine shots, for example, for like United States, less than Canada too. But the other country, poverty, has no vaccines. The problem will continue to growing because the COVID will not be fight. If all together we cannot share the vaccines, for example. That this kind of solution is very important to us, to find a way to share our richness from India, from Canada, from Quebec. In the last COVID, the Indian government sent 2 million doses of COVID vaccine, 2 million from Canadians. That's very helpful to us. This kind of shareness is very important, and we appreciate this kind of sharing. So I think with our two nations, we can both a stronger relationship. With knowledge, we have to know the other one. My goal as consul and director is to increase the knowledge about India to Quebecers and to the Indian government to know more that we can offer as Quebec nations.
Lovely, how beautifully you've put it, because I think, yes, you said we live in one earth, and the only way to create a better earth is when we share, care, and help each other. You rightfully pointed out that, what happens at one point in one location affects the entire world, and if the world does not thinks that okay, we are not going to share and maybe we will not send the vaccines over there, eventually the entire world will suffer. So it's in a larger good to help each other and create a better world. And I think economics and trades needs to obviously keep on going, and so that there is profitability, but I think there is more need for us to build connections and human relationships, which is more beneficial, which helps in the long run. So I hope that that all nations can join hand and not just be economically inclined to create a relationship, but emotionally and physically, so that we can create a better world. So thank you, Mr. Francis, for taking time and being part of the podcast. Any last notes that you would like to leave our listeners with?
Thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm very proud to be here, and I'd love to introduce India to all Quebecers. And with this new opening of the borders and the tourism, I would like to bring more Quebecers in India to discover this wonderful country. So thank you very much for this invitation. It's very, very, very appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Paradis. And I hope that we have more Quebecers coming to India. I hope there is more R&D exchange. I hope there's more startups, exchanges between both nations, which benefits each other. I hope there is more students from India going to Quebec, or more Quebecers coming to India, and creating a world with innovations that helps us survive and thrive in this beautiful future. So thank you for taking time and being part of the podcast. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. Until next time, see you guys. I really appreciate this.
Okay, thank you very much. It's very appreciated too.